Hi lovelies, welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload videos, you will be the first person to be notified. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real Pe.Pe. Alright lovelies, let's dive into today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok and I thought to share with you guys where this brother is actually out to share with us the historical reason why Hispanic people decided to vote massively for Trump. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that I do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please subscribe, leave your thought, and let's dive into it.
Yeah, the fact that so many Latino Americans voted for Trump really shouldn't surprise anyone, despite the fact that he gained most of his initial political traction off the strength of anti-Latino immigrant sentiment. The reason it shouldn't surprise anyone is because of paintings like this. This is called the Vot'N. I said that like it's French, but it's not. It's Portuguese. It's Brazilian Portuguese, and the process being depicted here is known as blanqueamento in Brazil. Basically, these two have a child together, and their child is ostensibly white, even though the child's grandmother is a dark-skinned black woman, and the dark-skinned black woman is praising God because her bloodline has been redeemed. Yes, this has to do with the Latino vote in 2024. So Vot'N means the redemption of Ham, and as some of you may know, the story of Ham was used to help justify the enslavement of African people for a long time. Blanqueamiento is also a concept in Spanish-speaking Latin America, and often gets tied up with phrases like mejorar la raza, which means to literally improve the race. So what does this have to do with Trump winning? Well, in America, the enslaved African population was smaller than the white population. The indigenous population was continually being expelled or G-worded. And although SA and SV resulted in a lot of mixing to the point where most African Americans are almost 25% white, in Latin America, projects of domination looked a little different. Intermixing had a different connotation, and people were often encouraged to marry someone with the goal of having a child that was lighter than them. Obviously, colorism is not a uniquely Latin American thing, but it's what's being overtly stated. Even in the context of a country like Mexico, where the black population is relatively smaller compared to somewhere like the Dominican Republic, I think there's a really different perspective about how people relate to Europeanness. All the tensions that existed between America and Britain, the bloodlines were pretty direct in a lot of cases. Even to this day, white Americans are pretty white. It's estimated to this day that 70% of white Americans have no African ancestry, and around 1% have Native American ancestry. Not the same for DR, not the same for Mexico, not the same for El Salvador, not the same for any Latin American country you can think of, really. I think even in cases where people are repping their country hard as hell, there is this implicit aspiration to be closer to the colonial center genetically, that is to say, closer to whiteness. A lot of factors can motivate someone at the same time, but the ghosts of a lot of these ideologies are still haunting us to this day. Like, for instance, if I told you that the issue with climate change really comes down to a misinterpretation of Christianity, you might feel like that's a stretch. But when you really break it down, you realize like, oh shoot, it's not about the thing. It's the thing about the thing about the thing about the thing. So I made a video talking about how the Latino vote for Trump, which surprised a lot of talking heads and political analysts, shouldn't really have been a surprise when you look at what Trump was running on. And then I pointed out A, with asterisks around the A, historical reason that could explain it. It's a connection, and I think it's an under-discussed connection. And then the other more pointed reason that I brought it up is that video is stitched to a video where I'm talking about how white supremacy employs people of all different races and genders to serve its purposes, and how that played a role in the election and will likely play a role in people responding to Trump's presidency. One should feel called out or feel like they have to shift and say, well, what about black people? What about Asian people? What about white people? The whole point is we are all being put to work by white supremacy in some capacity, and that feeling of, well, it's that other group that is exactly how white supremacy is able to make use of us more effectively, because we stop questioning the ways that it exists in our own sphere. In the case of Latinos, which by the way is a multiracial identity, the polling data surprised a lot of people, and people were leaving comments about it, so I commented on it, because it's everybody's business now, because it helped to put a white supremacist in power. In regards to the other factors at play, I guess I have 2 points. Getting specific, a lot of people have said, well, a lot of Latinos are coming from countries that have violent socialist revolutions, and they would never vote for someone that they fear is closer to socialism than capitalism. One that flies in the face of another point people were making, which was that way more Latinos voted for Obama than they did for Kamala, supposedly. And two, and I think this is more important, the way that white supremacy functions isn't like, oh, I'm getting on board with this because I want to see the suffering of X, Y, and Z group. It's usually like, I want this thing, and if it happens to cause the suffering of this group, then that's just the side effect, and I can live with that. And that's what really happened. Regardless of what someone claims their reason for voting for Trump is, they were willing for it to come with a side of racism, which implies that they felt like they would be safe from that side effect. The only people Trump is really promising will be safe from this side effect are... And that's all I'm saying. I think people want absolute answers to some of these very nuanced political issues, but you'll be very hard-pressed to find absolutes in this life. The world doesn't function in black and white for the most part. It functions in gray. So yeah, this is a reason, and it's largely an unconscious reason, I think. Also not a uniquely Latino reason, but I think there's a sense amongst more Latinos that they can potentially join whiteness than there is, for instance, among African American people specifically. Even though those same projects of whitening generation after generation exist in different cultures all over the world.
People who voted for Donald Trump did it primarily for reasons they felt were beneficial to themselves. People who voted for Kamala voted for reasons that may never affect them personally, but will impact the people around them.
If there's anyone out there that's kind of confused about how many Latino voters broke for Trump, I want to let you in on a little secret. Latinos can be racist as hell. For example, Colombia. There are so many Colombians that are saying the exact same thing about Venezuelans that Donald Trump is saying, that they're taking our jobs and they're bringing in crime. There's even a concept in Spanish called mejorar la raza, which is improve the race by marrying a white person. So there's a ton of underlying racist roots that Trump has been able to take advantage of. And then when you combine that with the idea that so many Latinos want to assimilate the way that Irish Americans assimilated, the way that Italian Americans assimilated, even though historically Latinos have been around for much longer, so it's never really going to happen in that way, we start to get a fuller picture of why maybe so many broke for Trump. And I have people in my own family who are Venezuelan who came to this country illegally years ago and now are complaining about immigrants coming in illegally. When that immigrant labor is the one that they rely on to run their business with a low overhead. There you go.
As a Latino, I've never been more embarrassed and more disappointed in the Latin community for even voting or thinking of voting for Trump. Voting against your own self-interest is counterproductive. It's insane to me. Like, y'all don't make no sense. What's not clicking? And let's be very serious. Latinos voted for Trump because they want to be as close to whiteness as possible. It's because they are anti-black. It's because of the internalized racism. It's because of the pure not even internalized. It's for the outward racism. That's really mainly what it was. And let's not forget the misogyny of it all. Let's not forget that, because one thing a Latina woman is gonna do is gonna put her man, her son, and any male figure in the Latin community up on a pedestal with ease. And that's exactly what the Latino men thrive on. The women always putting them up on a pedestal. And that's really the sad part about it, because there is no reason why they should have been voting for Trump at all. I'm disappointed today, and I'm just so disappointed.
I can't believe that the Latinos voted for Trump. I can. I believe it 100%. Girl, y'all have to stop acting like it is just Cubans that are racist and conservative in the Latino community. Coming from a Colombian girl. Look at the politics of Colombia. Yes, I know our president is like more left-leaning this time and very progressive. But, girl, look at the politics and the history. Look at their stances on abortion. I know she's decriminalized. However, that just means that you can't go to jail if you get an abortion, okay? Or if you're a doctor that conducts an abortion. That does not fucking mean that it is socially accepted. Turn on Telemundo. You tell me how many people of color you see on Telemundo. You tell me how many brown and black people you see on that show. Tell me if they're casting. turn on Caracol. Tell me how many people of color you see on there. Like, I don't want to hear it that we're this progressive community. We're not. So yeah, I 100% believe it. And for all of these freaking people who are Latinos that voted for Trump, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this. He doesn't like you. He never liked you. And he's never gonna respect you. And if y'all weren't born here, he's gonna try and find a way to get you deported. So, congratulations for looking stupid.
I've been joking around about Latinos for Trump over the past few days. It's been all fun and games, but a few of you have actually asked me to explain why Latinos would vote for Trump. And that's a really good question, and there's actually a lot of reasons, so it's time to get real about Latinos for Trump. Let's begin with the conversation of class. Wealthy people tend to lean more Republican because Republicans advocate for lower taxes for the rich. So wealthier Latinos lean more towards Donald Trump. The second reason would be internalized racism and internalized xenophobia, or otherwise known as the Pe.Pe people. The people that say, my family came here the right way, it's not that hard, why can't people just follow the laws? We're not like them, we're different. Those are the people that want to be accepted by white Americans so bad that they will openly bash their community. There's a lot of those people, and those people also tend to lean towards Donald Trump. The third and the biggest reason why I believe there's a lot of Latinos that support Trump is because our community is incredibly conservative. The Catholic and Christian church have a lot of power within our community. Conservative views when it comes to women's health and the LGBTQIA tend to dominate our community. When you put all those things together, it's not that hard to understand why.
Like, seriously, love this is actually a known fact. Like, it's a known fact. A lot of people, came out after the election. I was like asking so many questions. Why would Latino do this? Why would Latino do that? Why, like, people feeling so disappointed to the fact that the percentage of Latinos that actually voted for Pe.Pe is just out of this world. People were not expecting it. It's a known thing that some Latinos can be very racist. Well, I even see most of them. I have seen so many stitches, which I put up here. That's this particular one that a Latino woman who is so looking snow I have to come on live to say so many things between a black woman and a monkey. Like, it is a known thing. It is actually a known thing. They can't deny that fact. A lot of them will choose whiteness to whom they really are and all of that. But I think the reason why people are shocked was the fact that the way at which they've been treated for a very long time, the way at which they are always the ones to be targeted, the way at which they are, if it's not Florida coming for them, they're the ones doing the cheaper, like the way at which they've been treated pro to the election and all of that is the reason why I think people are so shocked. So because of despite all of the things that you've gone through, or the way at which they have told you that you can never be accepted, you still went ahead. This is why people are really surprised. People know that Latinos can be, some of them. I use some because you won't categorize every other person. But the fact is that before the election, there have been so many things going on in the Latino community that themselves really have to tell themselves the truth and say that we can never be accepted to be pan-colored. You can never, no matter what you do. They still cannot fathom that thing that, so we are also going to be discriminated against. They don't believe that. They still believe one way or the other that we are still going to be accepted. That is why you see a lot of them turned up. That is why this man, was his name, Angel Rodriguez, despite all of the things and all of the jokes around them, island of garbage, and the way at which they treat their workers, the way at which they pay them peanuts, and like all of the things that they are going through, despite that fact, Angel Rodriguez still believes that they are still going to be accepted until after the election. A fellow supporter who happens to be his neighbor decided to show him who he really is, decided to tell him that no matter what you do, no matter the sacrifices, you are not going to be in our community. You are not going to be invited to the, wherever the circle they have. This was the reason why he had to come out and cry out, because he felt very disappointed. He was feeling that because of the turn up Latinos, they are going to be treated better. This is just what really happened. They use this maybe election as a means of, oh, okay, let's just try and vote, blah blah blah, and do this. After which, I think we're going to be finally accepted, but without knowing that no matter what you do, that was why the case of Angel Rodriguez keep making me to smile. That disappointment really came too early. The FA and FO of Angel Rodriguez, it really came early. He never expected that. He is someone that has been on his social platform promoting, MAGA and all of that, and so proud of it, until after the election is gone and dusted. Then his fellow MAGA supporter decided to yell at him and tell him to stay away from his children, and instructed him to go back to his country. And he was like, I was thinking that we all are in the same boat. I thought that we all are in the same boat. That was where he has to come out to yell and cry out. Not only was he told to go back to his country, and I think the man shot a Pe.Pe up there. Not only did he actually encounter all of these troubles, he also lost his job. He lost his job. Like, seriously. To what end? To what end will you keep deceiving yourself, claiming what you are not? To what end? Even the people that looks like me will keep on telling you that what you say is not actually how it seems. You feel that maybe they are jealous of you, or I don't just know. I don't know. Seriously, it is really understandable that, coming from their history, this is the people, or this is the kind of persons that they are. But it is laughable that after all these years, after all the historical whatsoever, you are still not accepted. It's laughable. It's really, really. Now you are the ones with the highest documentation. I didn't say nothing. This is what I saw on the social platforms, that you guys are the highest ones with the undocumented issue. Anyways, wanna just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We just here for education and informative purposes. So guys, if you want to subscribe to this channel, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload.
Watch up to this extent. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright, lovelies, so please share, subscribe, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.